Welcome back to Good Morning Vail. A live shot atop the gondola building. What a shot it is. Chris Mistral has done it once again. Look at all those little people down there going skiing also. Unbelievable how that works. Welcome back to Good Morning Vail. We are honored, proud, and flattered to have Dr. Kevin Plancher here from the Steadman Hawkins Clinic and the Vail Valley Medical Center. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning, Steve.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Kevin saw me about 8 weeks ago laying flat on my back, and he had a big scalpel in his hand ready to chop my wrist up. And we're going to talk a little bit about wrist and thumb injuries today. So it seems to be an extremely common injury.
Yeah, unfortunately, the second most common injury to a skier is in the hand and wrist area. It's the knee that gets it mostly in the medial collateral ligament, but it's in the thumb area, right near this lower joint, the MP joint, that people get something called the skier's thumb. And it sometimes can devastate them, although it's really not something that needs an operation more often than not.
More rest and more of that splint that we'll show you in a couple of minutes as well. You know, it seems with these thumb injuries, it seems that people, the way they use their poles, the way they have the straps or the hand put over the strap or under the strap is one of the reasons it happens. And when they go to fall, instead of just letting themselves fall as opposed to just falling, that pole gets caught and kind of pulls on it.
And that strap gets caught, yeah. The thought was that in the old days when the strap was a leather strap and wrapped around, that you really would bind that thumb part. And so there's been a lot of companies that are working on new types of straps and innovations. But it really hasn't panned out. The thought is that even those people where the ski pole falls out, they extend that thumb like a hitchhiker's thumb, and they get the same type of injury. So we're not sure that it is the ski pole that causes the real problem.
So we get skier's thumb, we get hitchhiker's thumb, and what I hear is gamekeeper's thumb. What is gamekeeper's thumb?
That's an expression used for the guys back in Europe who used to strangle the necks of the rabbits, and they would crack the necks of the rabbits and break them in half.
Great.
So I thought that's good for the morning news.
I'm really glad I brought it up, aren't I?
And have a nice breakfast.
Yeah, great. I'm going to eat right after this, I'm
Perfect.
sure. When someone does tear something in the thumb, what actually does tear?
It's something called the ulnar collateral ligament that's right here at this MP joint, and it's just a ligament that's about 2 to 4 millimeters in width and 14 millimeters in length. But it sometimes doesn't tear all the way, and it can tear in the mid-substance, which is where it connects between the two bones, or a little piece of bone can come right off and take with it the ligament. And so it depends on x-ray which you have, and most people have just a mild injury, we call like a sprain, much like an ankle sprain, and they can go in a little cast or a splint, as we'll show, and they can continue on skiing. It's those that when you move the thumb against and stabilize that it opens up, that you really have to do something about.
It seems like, when you fall once in a while and you stop yourself from falling, that's what happens. It seems like you really end up hurting that thumb like that. So surgery is required only part of the time?
Yes, I would say probably less than 25 to 30% of the time surgery is required. And unfortunately, most people, because they don't walk, obviously, on their hands, only a quarter of the people who get thumb injuries really come to see a doctor.
Huh.
Most people walk around with the problem still.
Let's take a look at this little cast we have here, just because I think my hand is obviously not
I don't think that's going to fit you too well, Steve.
As you can tell, the wrist will come through here, and the thumb will come through here as well. This is made for, my younger sister or something. But you can tell here, and this cast will protect that thumb.
This is an orthoplast mold, and we're lucky enough in the Valley to have some hand therapists from Rocky Mountain Hand Therapy.
I know them well.
You do, in fact, from your wrist injury. But you can ski with this afterwards, and if you have surgery afterwards, this will protect the thumb. The nice thing is it fits under the ski glove. It's comfortable, and they can do amazing things, whether it be just for the thumb, a wrist, or finger injury, and it's a nice light material.
And it's removable, which is great.
So you can wash your hand, unlike in the old days when you had to wear a cast all the time.
So do you suggest wearing this all the time, or this is just after surgery?
Yeah, if your thumb...
Or, excuse me, after your injury, excuse me.
Right, if your thumb is normal and you haven't injured it, there's no reason to wear something prophylactically. But after your injury, that's a perfect thing to wear for the rest of that ski season. And then the following ski season, you can go on your way.
How do we prevent injuries like this?
Well, probably safe skiing is the smartest thing to do, and don't fall.
With all
obviously.
injuries, I presume, yeah. So.
But something like this is when you're falling, if you somehow can keep your hand closed rather than remember to grab yourself by extending the fingers, you probably won't pull that thumb in that hitchhiker position.
You know, most people, and let me add this, since I do teach skiing and I see a lot of it, I tell people that when they're going to fall, that's when, you know,
Right.
when they stop themselves from falling is when they tear their MCL, their ACL.
Right.
When they try and stop themselves by putting their hands down, they injure their thumbs or the ulnar collateral ligament in the thumb also.
When you're thinking about it, the odds are you're probably going to hurt yourself a little more than if you just sit down and fall and get yourself back up and ski safely.
So should I worry about this at all? Or?
No, I don't think you should worry about it at all. I think it's something, though, that people on the mountain should know, that just when they fall and they do feel that their thumb hurts, not to push it off and say, I'm tough, because if you neglect the thumb injury, over time you can have that lead to osteoarthritis. And that would be terrible when it's a very simple procedure, either in a splint or if unfortunately you need an operation. It will prevent this type of arthritic condition later in life.
So Matt Grosjean from the Olympic team actually had this problem just a couple of weeks before the Olympics, didn't he?
Right, and so unfortunately he was one that was unstable. It could bend back, and so we repaired it with Dr. Hawkins, and he did really terrific. He wore one of these for his preliminary trial runs during the Olympics, and for the actual run, I think he did have this underneath his ski glove.
Great, well, that's a big
he did
help.
well.
You know, we want to really thank you for coming in. Since it's such a prominent injury, second most ski injury of all, you know, all the time.
Sure.
It's something I think everybody needs to keep an eye out on.
Well, we thank you for inviting us.
Well, you know, we always love having you guys in here.
We look forward to seeing you again.
Well, good. Thanks for coming in.
Bye-bye.
We want to thank Kevin Plancher from the Vail Valley Medical Center and the Stedman Hawkins Clinic to come in and talk about that ulnar collateral ligament in the thumb, a real common ski injury. We'll be back with some Good Morning Vail in just a minute, so stay tuned with us.